Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to the 142nd episode of Ascension with A Course in Miracles. Today is March the 27th, 2024. And my goodness, what an amazing time to be incarnated, to have a body, to be able to witness all that is possible when we understand that everything is made of energy. The ego loves to complicate things. The ego loves to tell us that we don't have the ability to create like God created, because we have been conditioned to believe God is somehow this powerful creator up there and we're down here. And well, if we don't do things God's way, if it could send its only son to be crucified, then by gosh, it's going to punish us. So our mind has been filled with so many lies that have to be undone. We have to take we have to take an inventory. This is one of the teachings of the 12 steps. And they say, moral inventory. Yes, when you're operating inside of those steps, you are taking a moral inventory, because you're looking at all of the ways that you have hurt yourself and others, all of the ways that you put yourself ahead of other people, that your feelings, your situation, your needs come ahead of others, which is, of course, very, very upsetting. It's just so not the way that we were created to be. We were always created to put each other in a state of equality, because that is what we are. We are equally endowed by the creative source. Doesn't matter what you call it. Call it God, call it Buddha. It does not matter. You can call it creator, you can call it source. All of those words have been used to attach meanings to egoic identities that facilitate relationships with God. We don't need to have a relationship with God based on a made-up identity. We are already in relationship with God, because we cannot not be what God created us to be. That is a given. In A Course in Miracles, it teaches over and over and over and over and over and over again that we only have one problem. And it's the idea of separation, the idea of authority being outside of us. Everything is one. Everything is one energy expressing itself in a million ways. Think about it. I use this analogy a lot, but think about it during Halloween. If you're in the US, we celebrate Halloween, we get dressed up. And when I had my 3 kids at home, and my kids' dad and I, we would dress up, and the kids would dress up, and we would go out into the neighborhood, and everybody was dressed up. And all the little kids would go trick-or-treating, and it was just a fun time. Well, that's exactly what consciousness is. God, the creative source, has each and every one of us put on whatever costume we want to put on. And we go out into the world and we dress up. Some are women, some are men, some are trans, some are short, some are tall, some are Indian, some are Jewish, some are American, some are Latin. We put on costumes. And then at the end of the party, at the end of the Halloween, going around from door to door and doing what we do for that celebration, you come home, you take the mask off, and there you are with your family. You are always going to be welcomed, always going to be welcomed. There's even a story in the Bible. The story is about the prodigal son, who goes off and does things that are, not loving, not what the father had raised him to be able to do. But he goes off and he does his thing. And there's another brother who is well behaved and stays home and does everything by the book, by what the father taught. And the prodigal son that returns, gets this incredible party. The father doesn't sit there to judge. Well, why did you do this? Why did you do that? Why did you squander this money? Why did you hang out with those people? It simply welcomes its child home. That is what waking up is all about. We are being welcomed back into the remembrance of the truth of who we are. And A Course in Miracles lays out the steps of how to get there. But what delays the getting there is that our ego tells us, oh, I don't understand this, or this is too complicated, or I don't believe that, or that's not my experience. At the very beginning, in the introduction of A Course in Miracles, we are told that we cannot alter the curriculum. All we can do is take what we can at any given moment, but we cannot change it. And the reason we cannot change it is because it is a path laid out very specifically to lead us out of insanity. And when we argue with the Course and we want to change it, well, basically what happens is we delay the getting out. So it's okay. The Creator is not going to be upset with anybody that chooses delay, because the Creator created us to create. So if we want to create delay, that's okay. If we want to create speed and get there as quickly as we can, that's okay. Some of us have been able to do this faster than others. Some of us has taken us only 100 lifetimes. Others, they might take 1,000 lifetimes. In this lifetime, some can study the Course in Miracles and within a couple of years really get that they are the creators of the reality, that there's nothing outside of them that they have to work with, that all of it is within. When that decision is made, that you accept that that is the source of all suffering, that is the source of all pain and discomfort, what you basically are doing is you're becoming honest about where you are at on that path that the Course in Miracles lays out. And the Course in Miracles focuses on something really simple, to show us the distinction between God and ego. That's it, period. That's it. However, lots of people have been incarnated to help us see it from lots of different angles. But the thing is that you're always only going to deal with two things, whether you call it light and darkness, God and ego, love and fear, expansion and contraction. It does not matter, because when you begin to see the simplicity of what has happened as a creative source, we choose to incarnate, we choose to put on a costume, and we descend into the Halloween party. We come down into the haunted house. We come down and pretend that things scare us. Even a little princess. I mean, how many of us parents have not been scared by our little princess, our little daughter, things that they do, things that they say, things that they want to do, and it just sends us into fear, or our little prince. And they can be dressed up in the cutest little costume. That is not a frightening costume, but we go into fear because they say they want to go try drugs, or they want to go stay out at night with friends, or they want to move to a different state or to a different country. Oh my God, panic. And their costumes are precious little children. But because we don't understand the distinction between what is ego pretending to be other than God and what is God just being God, we have to go through however many iterations we have to go through. Let me blow my nose here. Had a little bit of a runny nose started yesterday. And for me, that just means that my body's going through a recalibration. So it's just calling for me to listen to what's going on. What does it need? And offer the body that, because the body is not who I am. It's a vessel. So like I would take my car to the shop. If I hear a little noise, take it to the mechanic so that they can work on that. If I hear something is off, whether it's runny nose or a cough or a fever, whatever the case might be, then it's just a signal. It's just a sign. It's no different than the light that comes on your dashboard that says maintenance. So anyways, every one of us is created by the creative source to create. We can't do anything other than that, because we are made in the image of a creator. So creation can only move in one of two directions. We are expanding or we are contracting. We are expanding into more possibilities, or we're contracting into a limited idea. This one signifies this a little bit better. Humanity has contracted into a very small idea of who we are. We're here, God's there. And a few religions have told us how to kind of get there, but they all put an obstacle in the way. You're not good enough. You're not, you haven't acquired enough information. You haven't gone through the training. all these obstacles that we have accepted as normal, all these rituals that we got to go through to get to what those who think that they are in control, those who think that they know more, have told us we must do to get there. But it's very simple. You're a creator endowed with incredible power. And as we descend into this journey, we have to forget our power so we can experience being powerless. Doesn't mean we're not using our power. It just means that we're aware of our power less. We are aware of our power less. We don't remember the power that we have because we are trained through, specifically through 12 years of schooling, that the person in the head of the class has the power, that the teacher has the power. And then they give us 12, 13, 20, 60 different teachers throughout the course of our journey, so that we get, we see, oh yeah, there are lots of different people that have power over us. Then we start off seeing mother, father. They have power. They tell us what to do. So we start off on this journey deliberately choosing those who will give us the opportunities to most quickly and efficiently help us remember the truth of who we are. And when I say quickly, because we're timeless beings, whether it takes us 10 lifetimes, 100 lifetimes, 1,000 lifetimes, it doesn't matter. All of us go on the path that we need to go with. So one of the important keys to being able to utilize the teachings of the Course in Miracles, after you decide, I am going to trust everything that it says, I'm not going to try and change it, I'm only going to try to apply it to the best of my ability. That's all the Course tells us that we need to do in order for it to work for us. And when you apply it with sincerity, when you do the exercises and the lessons honestly, when you give yourself permission to turn off the voice that tells us to resist it, oh, that doesn't make sense, this language is Christian and I'm not Christian, I'm atheist, or I'm Jewish, that doesn't make sense. If you can suspend, because you have the power to suspend, you have the power to not believe whatever you're thinking. And that's one of the things that the Course helps us understand, is that we have all been conditioned to believe that if it's in our head, it's true. But most of what's in our head are lies. Most of what's in our head is not true. That God's on a cloud, that's not true. But yet so many people operate with that as their understanding of God. So we have an opportunity to take however long it takes us to free ourselves of this misperception. And the misperception is deliberate. We incarnate to have an experience of forgetting so that we can descend into the lower realms and see what that's like. Because nobody in the higher realms, nobody who knows that they are one with all that is, would deliberately in that moment choose to experience contraction. You can't do it. From this frequency, you can't do this. So you have to go through a journey. You have to descend lifetime after lifetime of stories. It's a spiral. We come down. We keep going around and around, doing the same thing, expecting different results. But we are descending until we reach the lowest point. And you can't go any further than totally, completely oblivious to the truth of who you are. That's it. When you decide that you're going to wake up, then you begin the path, the journey to ascend, the journey to question everything, the journey to become aware of what is true and what is not true. And this is not an easy journey. So kudos to anybody who goes through a very honest process of discernment, of sorting out what is truth, what is not, what is of God's, what is of ego. Again, it doesn't matter what you label it. What is a loving act? What is a fear-based act? What is of the light, meaning brings joy and expands everything, or what is of darkness, which needs to have secrets and it's dark. When you begin to see anything with honesty is higher frequency, anything with dishonesty is lower frequency. Why? Because the ego contracts, doesn't want other people to know what it's doing. Until you reach a certain point, when you get to the point of pride, when you want everybody to know what you're doing, but to get to that place of pride, is because you're ascending. You've got to begin to care about yourself enough to stop suffering. You've got to make a decision. You know what? If I'm the creator of my reality, I am not going to suffer through this situation, because the only way that we will experience the peace that passes all understanding is to make a decision to stay grounded in the awareness that everything is made up. None of it is solid. To the ego, it's designed to make it feel solid. I am the body. Look at all those bodies. This is my child. This is my mother. This is my doctor. This is my my financial planner. This is my attorney. This is the judge. This is the teacher. This is the boss. So we have been conditioned to make everything outside of us have power over us, be real over us. Now, this is where it gets so complicated for the ego. The ego, well, let me rephrase that. This is where the ego makes it so complicated. None of us, not a single one of us in any of these teachings that teach truth, that teach us how to remember the truth of who we are, is being told that we are to deny what is happening. Now, no teaching, Course in Miracles does not tell you to deny your suffering, to deny your tragic situation, to deny that you got fired, to deny that your child passed away. It doesn't say that. It says you are to deny it power. You're to deny that it can make you suffer. Because see, one of the things that is so important on this journey, as we are studying inside of chapter 30, the new beginning, we're in section number 6, the justification for forgiveness is because to create a new world, a world that people understand the truth about what God is, the truth about what the ego is all about, which is to ascend to a fourth dimension, a fourth density, is for those who no longer want to be in suffering. We have to make the choice to start seeing things differently. To see things differently, we've got to move beyond our pride, oh, I'm right about things, to have courage. Well, what if I'm wrong? Courage means we move into questioning everything. Once you begin to question everything from that level of courage, you're already on a path of high frequency, meaning that you have already seen enough of your own lies, your own manipulations. You've already seen enough of the systems that you have bought into. You've already gone through realizing that your happiness doesn't come from the outside. So when we move into these places of courage, we are beginning a journey of ascension. That's what this is called Ascension with A Course in Miracles. Because in truth, we're always ascending. No matter what level we're at, we're always ascending. But when we get to courage, we are deciding to take control of our creative abilities. Before, we were just at the mercy of our creations. Now, courage says, you know what? If I'm the creator of my reality, I want to do this differently. I'm no longer doing the same thing, hoping to get a different result. I'm doing something different, like studying something like the Course, like applying the lessons of the Course, and you will experience something differently. So when we move into the place of justifying forgiveness, we begin to understand the importance of realizing that everybody's doing the best that they can. Everybody who operates in these lower frequencies, these lower densities, they're doing the best that they can with what they've got. Just because they're down here in shame or miserable or humiliation or experiencing blame or guilt or even doing something evil and vindictive, it does not mean that you want to go into suffering. Because they are, doesn't mean you have to. Because they are, and you have seen how you too have done that to yourself. Now you can stay in a place of courage. You stay above the line. You stay grounded. I was using my little people here to signify you can choose to see life from here instead of seeing life from down here. To be able to have the ability to observe requires neutrality, which means your courage moves into a higher frequency. It moves into a place that you realize I can't judge people for doing what all of us have the ability to do, which is to descend into whatever frequency we want to go to. And to be able to be in a place of neutrality, then the teachings that we are studying now make a lot of sense. Somebody who's down here, A Course in Miracles is very difficult because it tells you you're creating your reality. Somebody in shame is not, because look where shame is and look where blame is. Shame and blame kind of go together. They're not going to say, oh, I created this, while they're in the middle of blaming somebody else. We have to work through. Typically down here, what really helps is well, yes and no. What tends to help is to put somebody on medication so they don't feel so much discomfort. And it's a temporary fix, because what is mental doesn't go away just because you're taking medication. It doesn't go away permanently, because you come off the medication, there it is. It's a Band-Aid. Medication is a Band-Aid. However, it can make you feel better. I know my children, when they're experiencing their disempowerment, their depression, I said to them, if you, well, let me be clear. When they were living at home, I absolutely believe that they should not be on medication, that they needed to learn to work through things. Later on, some of them chose to put themselves on medication, and after a year or two of numbing themselves from the discomfort that they were feeling, that was helpful to them at that time. When they came off the medication, they realized, oh my gosh, my issue's still there. It did not go away, because the medication doesn't take your issue away. The medication just makes you feel better about the issue, feel better about yourself. And if you need that, you need that. Another thing that is helpful at this level is to go to therapy. When you can talk to a therapist, couch therapy, where you're telling them about how bad things are and what mom did to you, it's helpful because it's bringing into your conscious awareness some of the players in your life that contributed to the experiences that you're having. However, it is not helpful to do that for 10, 20, 30 years where you're constantly talking about the same thing. But it is helpful to put a little bit of distance so you can begin to see, oh, there's me over here. And yes, maybe some of the things mom and dad did contributed to putting roadblocks in my way, but I am the one who gets to go around those roadblocks. I am the one who has to choose to not use what they did in their lower density to blame them, because if I'm blaming them, guess where I am? You can't blame somebody from up here. From up here, you've already moved into neutrality. You see them as the powerful creators that they are, that contributed to the co-creation of your life experience. When you can move up here, you then begin to move to the place of trusting. The emotion of trust is a very grounded emotion that says, hey, if this happened to me in my life, I trust that it was for a very specific reason. Then the work shifts. Instead of blaming them for what happened to me, is, okay, what are the lessons that I can get from what transpired? Now you begin to trust that everybody was where they were supposed to be, and so were you. This allows for a realization that we can play one of a bazillion roles. We are creators of infinite possibilities because we were made in the image of an infinite creator. We begin to accept, oh, okay, well, in this lifetime, I chose this dysfunction with my family. In next lifetime, I'm going to choose something different because I've learned this lesson. Well, what would I prefer instead? See, as we begin to move into the higher frequencies, we're not focused on the past, not at all. We are living in the now moment, clear that every thought is creating our future. So once we get clear, well, am I blaming mom and dad for that? I can't get out of that density. I can't get out of that repeating. I'm going to need another lifetime with a parent that's very similar. But if we can say, we move up here, wow, that was a perfect mom, perfect dad. I learned the lesson of abandonment. I learned the lessons of being controlled. I learned the lessons of you manipulate and you lie, and this is your opinions about men or women or whatever. And you trust that you are receiving information that you now in your own mind, once you receive it as they played that role for me, now you focus on, okay, well, what did that do for you? How did that make you more loving? How did that make you more compassionate to everybody else? And parenting is such an important role because when we are able to ascend to a level of neutrality, we begin to see that we do to our kids what our parents did to us. We control them as much as our parents controlled us. It may not look the same. And the ego wants us to go, but I didn't do this to my child. It doesn't matter. We've got to move away from comparing how we controlled our children to that we controlled our children. We thought we knew better because down here, we have been taught to put the fear of God in everything, to scare our children. Don't talk to strangers. You know, if you don't pass this grade, your life is ruined. We operate from fear, so we become punitive parents. Well, if you don't do this, you're going to get punishment. If you don't do what I told you to do, you can't go have fun. So everything becomes transactional. Love is conditional. We have to understand that we have contributed to that. That is what we have created with our lack of awareness, that we are creating our reality. So to move out of, oh my God, look at all the suffering that I created for myself and my family, requires that we move into the place of understanding the power of forgiveness. So last week, we saw in paragraph number 1 in section 6, the justification for forgiveness, and we're still in chapter 30, is that anger is never justified. Never, never justified. One who ascends to a higher frequency is not going to go into anger. The reason we don't choose anger is because anger doesn't feel good in our body. Anger is a contraction. To be angry with somebody, I have to give up my peace. And at this level of my journey, I'm not giving up my peace for anything. It's just not going to happen because I have nobody to blame for but me. And I'm not going to go down here into the levels of blame and give somebody else power over what I know I am always completely in control of. I am in control of my own experience. So when it tells us anger is never justified, attack has no foundation, this is where the escape from the ego's fears, the ego stories begins. Because when you start questioning, well, but look at what mom did to me. Look at what dad did to me, or uncle or grandpa. I should be angry at them. When you start to feel into, well, if I give up my anger, what happens? We go through a withdrawal process, a withdrawal of, my God, who do I blame? What do you mean? I'm not going to be angry at so-and-so for hurting me, so-and-so for wrecking my car, so-and-so for firing me, so-and-so for leaving me, standing at the altar, or whatever the story might be. The minute that we are willing to say anger is not justified, again, Course in Miracles, try it on. If the Course tells you you cannot alter what it says, you can only take what you can take at any given moment. So let me feel into anger is never justified. Attack has no foundation. Something within begins to shift because now the voice of God in you, the voice for God in you, however you want to look at it, can begin to give you, well, what would that feel like if I didn't live in anger? But you can't go to, what would that feel like to not live in anger? You can't go into that curiosity without having the courage to not believe your own BS. You have to be willing to say, you know what? I've been blaming so-and-so for decades. What if anger is not justified? And you sit in a contemplative state where you want to feel what those two different energies feel like. And I can assure you that one that sincerely attempts to feel, what would I feel like if I didn't have anger for this person, if I wasn't blaming this person, they will feel a release. It is a given, but you can't feel the release while blame says they deserve your anger. And we are not trained to tell ourselves, you know what, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, because we don't want to be wrong. Why? Because we grow up in a punitive environment that tells us The right way is the only thing that gets rewarded. The wrong way does not get rewarded. The wrong way, you get punished. So to tell ourselves, maybe I'm wrong, the ego goes, oh, no, no, punishment, punishment, danger, danger, stay away from being wrong. So we go into this need to be right about everything. I've been coaching many clients for a long time, some over a decade. And till this day, some of them, years into the coaching, still argue with me about the fact that they don't have to blame anybody else. They still want to hold on to suffering being a reality. They still want to hold on to that older issues is because of what happened to them in childhood. So it is a process. Of course, it requires an incredible amount of patience on my part, but I'm developing patience. That's one of the characteristics of one who operates in a higher frequency. So my students give me lots of opportunities to practice patience. And it's a journey to get us to that place. But when you make the decision that anger is never justified and attack has no foundation, you begin the process of questioning your fears. You begin the process of seeing what has happened that has caused you to feel so contracted. You can begin to see that more clearly. So the minute that you begin to see, without attack, I feel more peace. With attack, I feel more stress, more anger, more tightness, more tension. You begin to see, well, what if I make this my real world? What if I make this the world that I'm done with? You can't do that until you choose to try on what it would be like to let go of anger, to let go of attacking. Today, in the paragraph we're going to look at is paragraph number 2. It says, pardon is always justified. Pardon, forgiveness, always justified. It has a sure foundation. When you build your house on truth, you build your house on solid rock. Once you begin to feel, you shift from fear to love. You shift from contraction and you lift into expansion. You begin to see, you always feel better over here. And once you realize, oh, I feel more peace because I stopped judging. I feel more peace because I stopped looking at things through a fear-based lens. This feels better. Now you are grounding yourself in the awareness that you get to choose how you feel based on what you are believing. And until that decision is made internally, that shift happens, that I'm going to move out of the pride of being right, and I'm going to be courageous enough to question my ideas, my beliefs, and I'm going to move into neutrality so that I'm not going to see things right or wrong anymore. I'm just going to see things as they are, what they are. And I'm going to be comfortable with, I don't know what anything is for. Then I am going to have the willingness that is necessary to move into the acceptance that everybody's doing the best that they can with what they've got, and the acceptance that I can give myself a more amazing experience. Because acceptance is what it matches frequency with forgiveness. And forgiveness and transcendence, you begin to transcend the nonsense of the world. It doesn't even appeal to you. You're not even, you see it and you recognize it. I pay attention to what's happening in the world. Oh, really, the reason I pay attention to what's happening in the world is because I'm gauging, where is humanity? When humanity begins to speak up and I see people getting in trouble for speaking up, I go, oh, these people have courage. They're speaking up. But somebody who does not want them to express themselves, who does not want that, well, they're going to be punitive. They're going to punish them. They're going to say, I'm going to pull you down. I'm going to pull you into places so that you'll be afraid. I'm going to lock you up. I'm going to, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to lose your Facebook account, your YouTube account, if you say things that we don't want you to say. So I watch the world to see, where is humanity in terms of, where is ego running the show? Where are people becoming more curious and more courageous and moving out of the old ways to start creating the new? Because the new doesn't get created unless we co-create it. So part of the new is we are going to stand here forgiving those who know not what they're doing. because pardon is always justified. Why? Because it feels good inside. The day comes that you realize what feels good is to be neutral. What feels not good is to be tight and tense. Well, when we operated from ego, being tight and tense meant I'm right. I am justified in my anger. So that tension was associated with I feel safe. I feel protective because I'm attacking and I'm putting up the walls. So that tension in the body was associated with safety. We have to move through the process of dissociating our safety with contraction and our safety being with expansion, where you realize, well, I'm eternal. You're going to shoot me for this. Jesus gave us a great example. Crucify me. It doesn't matter. I'm not a body. It's just a vehicle that I'm using. I mean, if somebody said to me, we that's it, you're in trouble, we're going to go ahead and take your car and we're going to crucify it to show you what a bad person you are, I would say take the car. It's okay. I know the truth of who I am. So if I'm comfortable with them taking the car because the car is not me, my work is to learn to be comfortable with the body is not me. And of course we get to that when we get to that. If you really believe that the body is real for whatever reason, it's going to be more challenging to move out of the lower density, because this is the realm of the body, because it's the realm of the ego. Up here, you're operating in energy, you're operating in freedom, you're realizing, so it's a temporary body vessel. Am I using it in the best possible way? Am I using this body vessel to shine as much light as possible? Am I being transparent so people can see my light? Which means there's no need to lie. There's no need to hide. There's no need to pretend, to attack, to blame. All those things go away. And in many cases, you kind of become a boring person because you're not there to entertain people. Like the ego loves to entertain. It has to be funny and has to be audacious and it has to say crazy things, get attention, because that's what the ego does. It has to control things. It has to be the center of attention. But when you move into the higher dimensions, we're all one. Nobody needs to be the center of anything. The collaboration then really gets activated from a very, very neutral place because nobody's looking to get the spotlight, but the ego loves the spotlight. So until we are comfortable questioning our own thoughts, then why did I say that? Until, and I spent years, why did I say that? Why did I need to be loud? Why did I need to be funny? Why did I need to have my way? Why did I need to do this? I would sit back and go, oh, because I needed that attention. Oh, because that made me feel superior. And that way I could put that person down if I had the answer and they didn't. I had to go through a brutal process of self-honesty. And until we do that, we can't free ourselves of the way the ego likes to lie to us, because that's all the ego is we're believing a liar that's within us. There's just no other way. As a matter of fact, I don't have the poster. It's a little too far. I don't want to get it. All of the ego's entire belief system is based on lies because it's an opposite to the truth. So then it goes on to tell us in sentence number 3 in paragraph 2, you do not forgive the unforgivable, nor overlook a real attack that calls for punishment. Salvation does not lie in being asked to make unnatural responses which are inappropriate to what is real. So the ego says, I can't forgive that person. Look at that horrible thing that they did. Well, what we're being taught here is that we're not being asked to forgive the unforgivable. In other words, you're not being asked to focus on the horrible things that happen here and make them real. That horrible thing happened, but I'm going to forgive you. I'm going to pardon you. Because to do that, you have to come down to the frequency of blame. You did this bad thing and I'm going to forgive you. You are attached to that frequency of righteousness. You can't move to a higher dimension while you are blaming somebody and at the same time say, well, I'm going to forgive you. I'm going to forgive you, but I'm not going to forget. I'm going to forgive you. And then it comes back up. This is a very radical form of forgiveness that requires that we move into the higher dimension that states, and I'll let the Course tell us, instead, it merely asks that you respond appropriately to what is not real by not perceiving what has not occurred. This is a tongue twister, but it is so important. Instead of coming down here, well, I forgive you, but I won't forget, we are being asked to respond appropriately to what is not real. What is not real is your body. What is not real is the costumes that your family members wear. None of that is real. By not perceiving what has not occurred, was your soul ever affected by what your mother, father, teacher, preacher did to you? No, our soul already exists in the higher realms. Our soul is what we are beginning to wake up to being an option. Our ego is what we have been operating from, making all of this terrible stuff real. That has power over me. That hurt me. That makes me feel better. I need more of that to be happy. What we're saying is, you know what? You have no real power to affect me. That requires that I begin to listen to what does my soul know. That is why this is a journey. We're 100% listening to our soul when we incarnate. Children are connected to the joy, the essence, the peace of who they are while they're beginning to get trained into the body being real. This is mine. This is my toy. This is my stuff. That happens around the two-year mark. And I'm watching it with my grandson. But we enter into this world. Nobody is responsible for our happiness and our suffering. A little baby in its innocence requires that its body be taken care of. When it is done by a conscious parent, the conscious parent knows to feed it and to keep it warm and to bathe it and to make sure that it gets a proper rest. Those things are important in a 3D experience. Until we are operating with crystalline bodies where we don't have bodies, we need parents who are conscious and help us take care of our body. But a conscious parent that tells you you're not your body. We're going to take care of it. We're going to feed it. But let's begin to be conscious about what do you want to do with your body vessel? Do you want to use your body vessel to hit somebody? Do you want to use your body vessel to be nice, to go give somebody a hug, so that there is an understanding of what are we doing with this body? What are we doing with this vehicle? Are we ramming people with attack, or are we the gentle, kind one that says, oh, go ahead, you can go ahead of me in traffic. We stay back, we're patient, just like you do it with your car. You learn to do it with your body when you have an awareness and a consciousness that everything is a choice. So when we begin to see things from our soul's perspective, we are recognizing we have to tell ourselves the truth. Nothing that happened at the human level, whether you were abused physically, whether you were abused mentally, emotionally, whether you were incarcerated for 30 years, whether you were sexually abused, whether you were spanked, none of it affected your soul. And this is one of the most challenging things, because the ego wants to blame somebody so that it never takes responsibility for its power. The ego doesn't want you to take responsibility for the ability that you have to respond to every situation from a higher perspective. Because if you decide to say, you know what, my soul has never been affected, you are actually speaking one of the highest truths that you could possibly speak. So if your soul was never affected, then everything in this lower dimension is no longer running around in your head as a reality. It becomes such a distant memory. You don't operate from the past. You're now in the now moment. Okay, well, what do I want to do with this soul? With this soul that's totally, completely free to be itself, that is powerful, powering this body vessel, what do I want to experience now? And to make that shift in perception that you are soul identified requires that you no longer are bodily identified, ego identified. And I say quotes because we're identifying with things that are made up. Why do you want to identify with a Halloween costume? That's crazy. You put it on and you have fun and you take it off at the end of the party. That's what we're here to do with the ego. You put it on, you identify with it for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, however long, and then you take it off and go, you know what? That's not who I am. Who am I? Then begins a journey of self-discovery, begins a journey of getting to know who you really are as God created you, which is what the Course is all about. So it tells us that if pardon were unjustified, you would be asked to sacrifice your rights when you return forgiveness for attack. If pardon wasn't justified, God would be saying, yep, go ahead and attack, go ahead and protect yourself. Meaning, God would be telling us, you're not as powerful as I created you. And because that's never going to happen, yes, people in the lower realm tell us that, heads of churches tell us that all the time, you're not as powerful as God. And Course in Miracles is saying, you actually are. All but except for one thing. And the only thing that is different between us and God is God created us. We didn't create ourselves. We didn't create God. But we have the same power to create whatever it is that we want to experience. So we are being asked to begin to get clear. Do you want peace? If you want peace above anything else, you need to question all of the thoughts that you have you lose your peace, that block you from your peace, that distract you, saying, oh, that did it. The rain did it. The car or the traffic did it. It's the fault of the check that didn't come in the mail that I'm not at peace. No, you could be just in as much peace. If the check doesn't come in the mail, you can be in just as much peace. Well, why did I create the check not coming in the mail today? Is it maybe so that I can realize that, oh, that is not my reality. I'm not going to react to the check. I'm going to stay in peace. And then from that place, I'm expecting, as the creator of my reality, to have imagination activation so that I can have ideas of what can I do instead of the old ways of reacting to the check not coming in the mail. So sentence 7 says, but you are merely asked to see forgiveness as the natural reaction to distress that rests on error. We have distress because we are believing errors or believing lies. It's a mistake to think that you are your body when the truth is that you are your soul, your spirit. So we have to, excuse me, we have to call for help. And in the beginning of this journey, it helps to go outside of yourself. It does help. So that's why I'm a coach. That's why there's millions of amazing coaches helping people navigate, because a coach can always take you to where you're at. If you're here, a coach that's here can help you get there. If you're here, a coach that's here can help you get there. If you're here and you want to get to here, a coach that's there will help you. But you can't get from here to here if you're listening to a coach that's having you blame, like typical therapy, your mom and your dad, and telling you, you know what? Ignore them. They don't run your life anymore, kind of giving you reasons to, oh, we're going to forgive them. But you know, they did what they did to you. That's why you have the issues that you have. They explain to you why in the workforce or workplace you don't get along with people because of what happened to you in childhood. You're the second child. You're the third daughter. You're the third child, whatever. We get all kinds of reasons for why things are what they are in the lower density. To move beyond that, you've got to be open to that you're not anything that is physical. You are, the truth of who you are is a soul that's eternal. That's when you begin to play in the dimension of how do you use your power to co-create a new reality, a new world, a new earth that is going to be so different, because people who operate with, they have power. They're not blaming. This is a whole different ballgame of co-creation, collaboration, cooperation, trust, because transparency is going to be normal. Here, we can't trust people because they're blocking their secrets. They're protecting their secrets. They'll attack you if you come close to their secrets. We're seeing the world that is breaking down because so many secrets are being exposed. I mean, if you just look at the headlines of what's happening in Hollywood right now, you would see secrets are being exposed. And they have to, because we have to stop idolizing those people that appear to have it all together, those people that appear to have money, the spotlight. All of that is contrived by the ego to make us look outside of ourselves. And then, of course, if you feel bad about who we are, then we buy the magazine, and then we got to go get the plastic surgery so we can look like that person. Then we got to go buy the clothes and do whatever to look like our idols that never make us feel good, because we can never attain what they have, because the game is set up by the haves to make sure that the have-nots never get there, but they dangle enough. With the Oscars, they dangle enough shiny things to make you think, oh, maybe you're the next one. But when you move into the realm of knowing that you are a soul created by God to be the creator of your own reality, you don't want to co-create fame and fortune is not what you're chasing. Because it doesn't appeal to you. What appeals to you is to bring forth all the goodness that is inside of you that you have been blocking since childhood, all the love that you withheld from mom and dad because they were mean to you. You want to bring that out, because what saves us is what we bring forth. What hurts us is what we hold back. So we are moving in the direction, many of us, and I know it's in the billions now, at least a billion, if not more, are deciding we're seeing through this farce that power exists outside of us. We're moving to the place of realizing, no, the power is in me. I need to learn how to use it. And of course, when we try to use our power without awareness, well, I know I did. When I first started realizing how powerful I was, I was my ego was spiritualized, and sometimes I didn't say nice things because I was telling people, hey, you created this your own suffering. I didn't have the compassion. That begins to happen up here, these higher dimensions, when you move into the place of the frequency of real love. All right, so the next sentence says, forgiveness is the only sane response to whatever's happening. It keeps your rights from being sacrificed. Because when you say, you know what, I forgive you, you don't know what you're doing. You are maintaining your right as the creator of your reality. And you're saying, I'm not going to blame you. I'm not going to judge you. Excuse me. I am going to be grateful that you're a character in my game. And I really appreciate that you played the role of whatever it was. And I don't want to play in that frequency anymore. I don't want to be in that sandbox anymore. I don't want to go to that ride in the amusement park anymore. It doesn't matter what analogy you use. What matters is you know that you have a choice to do it differently. It is always in your power, including the choice to forgive and let it go. Because when you let it go, you move out of the blame game. When you let go of the people that you believe hurt you, you move out of this low, dense frequency that keeps you repeating the same things, people being mean to you, people not talking to you, people ignoring you, people not inviting you to things, because you are experiencing the rejection of your power. So the rejection of you has to happen from the outside. And then you wonder, well, why does this keep happening? Because acceptance, to move to acceptance, is a very high frequency. You can't have people accept you until you have accepted yourself as the powerful creator of your own reality. Because that, when you move into those realms, and it's possible to do it in one lifetime, many of us are doing it, but it requires courage. You got to have the courage to stop your own bullshit. You've got to have the courage to question every thought. Sit at the end of the day and question every single thought that you had that day. The thought that, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, the thought, oh, I look fat. The thought of, I can't find work. I can't find money. I don't have resources. Every single thought that you thought that day is creating the reality that you're stepping into tomorrow. There's no other way. We are creators of our own experience. So if you're going to move into acceptance, oh, you know what? I just had that thought that maybe I'm a little fat, or I had that thought that maybe I'm a little too old, or I had that thought that I don't have enough money. That's part of my human journey. I get that. But what does my soul say? Well, my soul says that I'm eternal. My soul says that I am powerful beyond measure. Okay, so what is it that I prefer instead? I want the finances to be taken care of because I'm entitled to miracles. So that thought must be equally as strong as the thought, oh, I don't have enough to pay the bills, or the thought that, what am I going to do? I'm too old to work, or I'm too old for this, or I'm whatever it is, or too young, or whatever it is. These thoughts, if they consume 90% of your time thinking, and only at the end of the day do you say, well, you know what, I'm entitled to miracles, and these thoughts are 10%, and I'm being kind, because most people, this is 99%, but you're at 10%. You can't create the new reality from 10% energy. You got to create it. You're going to create it from 90% because this is what you believe is true. While you are believing that this is true, then you are living in a place of disempowerment. So question the thoughts that have you think you can't do what a creator can do. As God, we've got to come to the place that we acknowledge our power as God. I am that. I am that. We've got to get comfortable with realizing that we're always creating our own reality. Nobody does it to us. We do it to ourselves because that is how we have chosen to utilize every incarnation for. It's a game of hide and seek. I'm going to hide my power, and then I'm going to spend time seeking it. Once you realize, oh, the power is in me. Game changer. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Anybody wants to unmute themselves and share any nuggets, wonderful. If not, we will see you next week. As always, I do these pretty much just about every Wednesday, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. This is episode 142, so it's been going on for quite a few years. And I just love sharing and trying to interpret what the Course in Miracles is saying for those who need to hear it in lots of different ways. I know I did when I started this journey. All right, everybody. Love you all. See you next week. Take care.